Hi, I'm Maribeth Quinn, a mixed media collage artist, and today I'm going to talk about how I use very personal papers to do mixed media collage commissions for people that either want to celebrate an accomplishment or maybe memorialize a person or something just deeply intimate and personal. So it's a process that I've just developed over time. I somehow sort of stumbled into using very intimate and personal papers to make these types of paintings, and I really, really find it fulfilling. So I just thought I would share today a little bit about what that process is like, because it really works well for me. And I thought that maybe it might fill in some blank spots about your mixed media collage if you're just finding your way with this wonderful, wonderful medium. By the way, Happy New Year. I am really excited about getting back to work. My father just recently passed away. He was a wonderful, wonderful man, and I've been away from my studio and away from making videos for quite some time now, and I'm very excited about getting back to it. So what I'm doing at this point, I've got on my base layer of paint and I put down some collage pieces, and now I'm just glazing over it and reinforcing my dark areas, my light areas with just some glazes. I use golden glazing medium to make my paint glazes. And what I wanted to really describe is how I organize these personal papers that I get from clients. This particular painting was for a young woman who just recently just had a major accomplishment in her life. It was a lot of hard work, and she has overcome a lot of really, to call them obstacles is really underselling the whole idea. It's nothing but just tenacious, optimistic willpower. And I know her somewhat personally, and it was just such a pleasure to celebrate this accomplishment with her, because it has not been easy. And she did it anyway, even though it probably looked undoable in some ways, or maybe impossible at some impasses. But she proved once again that she can do anything she puts her mind to. And I'm so proud of her and happy for her. So this painting is a perfect example of how I use these papers. Right now, sorry, I'm going forwards and backwards, but it's really necessary to get in all these steps. Right now, what you see me doing is just laying in my first foundational pieces of patterned paper. Some botanical pieces, some torn pieces cut with a little bit of botanical shapes in mind, and just some patterned papers. So I have some things to work with. But at the first of this video, you saw me laying down some pieces of paper. These were personal pieces of paper, but when I had her look for the papers that were most representative and special about this accomplishment, I had her divide them into 3 categories. One of them were papers that were very special and important, but she didn't necessarily need them to be showing. So it's just nice to know there they are as part of the painting. They're providing texture, they're present, they're supportive, but they don't necessarily need to be front and center or even able to be seen. So that's what I put on first. And then I had a second category that were papers that were also very important, and they would maybe show through and maybe just provide not semantic sense, but they would provide interest with the wording and the little letters showing through, things like that. So I'll explain the third category very soon. But right now, you see I've put on a lot of those second category pieces, and you can still see a lot of the lettering. Some of that still shows through at the very end of this painting. But at this point, I'm not trying to protect it. I'm not trying to keep it showing. Protection really locks me up. It makes me get stuck. So here you're just seeing where I am at this stage. It looks very disjointed, which is just the way it looks at this stage. And you just keep plowing forward, you keep putting on more layers, and you wait for it to begin to take some shape and make some sense. So I'm adding some light lavender pieces to these botanical shapes, and I don't want all of them to be really obvious. I want them to have a bit of airiness to them. So I might just leave that just as a one layer piece in some cases. So here is me working on the category 3. Category 3 are very special papers, the most important ones. So she put these in a special folder for me. I printed them out, and now I am making botanical figures. I'm cutting them into leaf shapes. In some cases, I might cut them into flower shapes. I don't believe I did on this particular painting, but they are prominent in the end. You may not be able to read the entire sentence, or you might not even be able to figure out exactly what the contents are, but it's enough there that she will know what that is. Maybe it's an encouraging note from someone, or an email that she got confirming some major milestone in this process. So that's what I'm using, these most important and representative papers, as this upper layer, because I know that I've got a lot more to do on this painting, but all the foundational things are there, my dark places, my light places. So anything that I put on at this point is not going to be layers and layers of collage that cover something up. It's going to be transparent layers that are more about blending or filling out an area. So that's what I'm doing here. I've got those pieces of paper with wording on them, and now I'm tinting them with my tinted collage paper that I make myself, and it gives this nice dual texture to it. Because the paper is white, it really shows through that semi-transparent tissue paper, colored tissue paper that I'm using, and really gives it a pop. So I'm just going through and I'm covering all of these white pieces with different colors that are within the color palette that I've decided that I wanted to use. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I find so meaningful about working with people in this way, maybe celebrating something, or in some cases memorializing a loss. Both of those things are such beautiful examples of passages in life. As I said, my father just passed away, and the rituals that we give, both as a society and what we make up personally, are so important. And I'm in my late 50s now, and it dawned on me not too many years ago that as you get older and you're privileged to live and love, that the losses will also start mounting. It's just the nature of life. You'll lose your parents, you'll lose your grandparents, you might even lose a child at some point. These losses are not something, as I might have thought when I was younger, they're not something to overcome. They're not something to move past. There's something instead to learn to incorporate, to integrate into your life in a meaningful way. And the whole grieving process is really important to me because when I got into working with collage, I was in a state of grieving. And collage spoke to me. It spoke to the fragments of my life, many of which I had closed off behind a wall somewhere to be dealt with later. And the time had come. It was my turn. And so collage has become this incredible symbol of taking all of the pieces of your life and learning how to integrate them, to see the beauty in the fragments, and then welcome all of the fragments in, all the layers, all of the ways that they connect and support one another, and allow them all a place. Collage has really helped me learn how to do that. And so therefore, all of my videos, when I talk about my work, I get into this internal space because this is just what it means to me. This is why I do the work I do. This is why it has such gravity in my life. And it's why I enjoy doing these types of pieces for other people. I think it's so important to learn to feel your life, to be present, to be awake. I struggle with this. I have had a tendency in the past to maybe try to check out, to try to keep things calm and stable, and that doesn't serve me anymore. I think it's served me in some ways in the past and doesn't anymore. So collage, as my medium, is so instructional, it's so healing, and it means a lot to me. So here I'm just showing some different close-ups of this finished piece that I was so happy with. I just feel like I'm peering down into water and seeing all the layers. And I love that. That reminds me of life. And life, the beginning, the middle, the end, is worth celebrating to the max. So if you would like to learn more about my collage process and how I make papers and all of that, I encourage you to join my Introduction to Collage class, Learning to Paint with Paper. I'll put the link in the description of this video, and I would love to have you in class. I love to interact with my students. And if you're not quite ready for a class, but you just want an introduction to the subject, I have a free collage kit. You can also find that link in the description. And thank you so much again for joining me here, for spending time with me. It's an honor, and I never take it lightly. And thanks a lot for your comments too. They're always so sweet and so fun to read.